a very harsh criticism for his decision to carry on with Tuesday's celebration of America after withdrawing an invitation to the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. The latest battle in the president's ongoing feud with the NFL could signal what is to come for the traditional White House visits for professional athletes. Leaders of both the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors say no matter who wins the NBA championship, neither team wants to go to the White House.
I mean, I know no matter who wins this series, no one wants to invite anyway, so it won't be Golden State or Cleveland going.
I agree with Bron. Pretty sure the way we handled things last year, kind of stayed consistent with that.
Isn't that terrible? It's a beautiful tradition to see them go to the White House. Remember, there were members of the Philadelphia Eagles who accepted the president's invitation. He canceled on them. Mark Thompson, Bret Stephens back with me. Okay, Bret, to you first. The White House claims they went on with the celebration because of the fans. But a reporter asked the mix of who was in that crowd, meaning was it White House interns, Capitol Hill interns, or real Philadelphia Eagles fans? And the White House didn't want to answer. And there are stories that they were asking people in the crowd, who's the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles? And people couldn't answer. And listen, I might not be an Eagles fan, but if I was an Eagles fan, I sure as heck would know. There was even one who was walking toward the press line, and his friend said, no, remember, we're not allowed to talk to them. Sounds
no, I mean, I'm sorry, but this reminds me of certain regimes around the world. The Maduro regime in Venezuela comes to mind that pumps out its followers to create an appearance of unity and celebration when it's simply not there. And what's just always stuns me, and it shouldn't stun me because we've had 2.5, 3 years to get used to this, which is the continual weaponization of differences when we should have conciliation that is the stock and trade of this presidency.
Okay, Mark, NBC's Peter Alexander asked Sarah Huckabee Sanders, if we're talking freedom of speech, what's the difference between the baker who turned down a gay couple in Colorado and the NFL player's right to simply voice their opinion?
So I guess my question is simple. So if the White House supports the baker's right of free speech, why doesn't the White House support the players' right to free speech?
The president doesn't think that this is an issue simply of free speech. He thinks it's about respecting the men and women of our military. It's about respecting our national anthem, and it's about standing out of pride for that.
And if you speak to people who do serve this country, they don't take an issue with it.
Right, and as usual, Sarah is obfuscating. 50 years ago yesterday, Bobby Kennedy walked through the kitchen of the Ambassador Hotel. On his right was a great African-American athlete, a gold medalist, Rayford Johnson. On his left, a former NFL player, Rosie Greer. They took him to the podium. They walked him off the podium where he lost his life. Literally 50 years to the day, Trump holds his ceremony, and it's a part of his overall movement to attack African-American athletes and cause division. We just talked about the pork farmers in the Dakotas. Bobby Kennedy won California and South Dakota and said at the Ambassador Hotel that we can win an urban state like California, win a rural state like South Dakota, we can have unity here in America. What's Trump doing? Dividing America. That's what he's all about. And specifically, what about Brett's word, weaponize? He's weaponized the national anthem. So he wants to even cause division on NFL teams. Some can stay in the locker room if they want to take a knee. Others can go out.
And remember, no Eagles took a knee last season.
That's right.
None. And
so the union, I think, has to step in and come up with a collective policy so players won't be or feel divided. I want to give a little bit of credit because when this policy first came out, I came on this network and I said that the NFL season begins in September. Perfect time for him to weaponize it for the midterms. The Associated Press spoke to an anonymous source in the White House on Monday, and they revealed that that is his direct intention to use this and to keep bringing it up, especially in September and October. He wants to try to use the most popular sport in this country to divide the country even more and help
Mark,
his voters.
NFL owners who are among the wealthiest white men in this country who know that that taking a knee during the national anthem is not standing against the military. Those very wealthy and influential men have the opportunity to say, no, Mr. President, you're not going to weaponize this. This is a false primacy.
It also, I mean, it just shows the point you made at the beginning of the segment is so right, because, you know, to love freedom is to exercise it. And that is what I think those players are doing. I happen to disagree with the protest, but they are exercising and therefore loving their freedom of speech, their freedom of expression. That's exactly the conclusion of the 7-2 majority vote in the Supreme Court. I don't agree with what the Baker is doing. I think you should give cakes to everyone, but he's exercising his freedom of conscience, his First Amendment rights. Why can't conservatives have? I mean, this is almost an IQ question. If you're just consistent, this is a pure free speech play. Let's just accept the players' rights to act, to protest as they see fit, and say, okay, they are exercising their freedom.
But you do it if it helps you in the midterm.
Of course. Yeah, I mean,
that's what it's all about.
Or you can say, let's put decency before politics, before business. And if we do that, we will have the opportunity to come together.